might get what? You might get 3% of the time. That's the industry. You're going to get, holy crap, I want that white Sorrento. I've never had a process so quick in my life. But 99% of the time, guess what you're going to get? That's not buying today. Perfect. Let's get going on with the process. Right? Perfect. Let's get going. All right. So that's where it's really important that you understand those three different tonal patterns we talked about. What were they? Who hasn't written down the three tonal patterns? Secrecy, and I'm just a reasonable guy. Right? You've got to get those tones down pat. We can use these language patterns to have a whole bunch of fun, but you want to make sure the customer always, 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 always says, I'm just like you, because I care. That's all we want our customer base to think. I'm just like you, and I care, and I'm here to help you. All right? Any questions? Any questions at all? Joe? All right. So we're going to talk a little bit about how we move by, it's called reframing, right? So a couple of examples I gave you, we'll go through them again. But reframing is really important, and it happens as soon as the guest says what? No. Okay, so we started. Welcome, Lally Kia. My name's Todd. Blah, 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 blah. Right? Done. By the way, before we leave here today, I want to change when we talk to you about how we price cars. Okay? I want to put a different part. So I'm sure we all have that down. So, and then we're going to build massive intelligence with our intel sheets by proper tonality, right? And then we may at the end of that say, hey, listen, getting started is very simple. All I need is a copy of your driver's license, which you need, right, to go on a test drive. And if you want to progress even quicker, proof of insurance and a valid credit card, and we can get this thing going quick. No, I'm just looking today. No, perfect. Let's just go down and look at your car, right? Now, as soon as I say that, so I'm moving along, I'm gathering intelligence, everything's moving along good, I'm gathering intelligence, I'm working, everything, why do you drive it? I love it, yeah, what do you like most? All right, well, sounds like based on all the information you've given me today, Sharon, it looks like a product out there would be a perfect fit for you. Getting started is really simple. And they say, whoa, 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 whoa. Am I on the line or off the line? When they say, I'm not blind, whoa, I'm not blind. Am I on the line or off the line? When they say no, I'm completely off the line, right? Have they stopped listening to me at that point? Whoa, whoa, I'm not blind today. I just came here to look for a car.
Fantastic.
Right? So they're off the line. What's our goal right now? What do we want to do, Sheriff? We want to bring them back on the line, right? By reframing, right? So we want to say the following, right? We want to say, I hear what you're saying, Jim, but let me ask you a question. So now it's mystery, right? Not I agree with what you're saying. I hear what you're saying, Jim, but let me ask you a question. Does the idea that we're discussing make sense to you? Like, do you really understand the idea? Remember Corinne's question with the guy who wanted to cancel the repair order? Remember? So I hear what you're saying, right? I hear what you're saying. I'm not saying I agree with what you're saying. Don't say that. I hear what you're saying. Does the idea make sense to you? Comma. Now in a real, reasonable tone. Do you understand the idea? There's a number, it starts with a 9, ends with a 0%. Of the time the customer is going to say what? If they're truly in the market for a car, what are they going to say when you ask them that idea? That question. Yeah. And when they say yeah, Sharon, where'd you go? Right back on the line. Now we're moving again, right? We're right back on the line. Right? I'm not blind to it. I hear what you're saying. But let me ask you a question. Do you understand the idea? Right? So by tonality, right, by saying, I hear what you're saying, but let me ask you a question. Do you understand the idea? Do you really understand what I'm saying today, the idea I'm pitching? Right? Does the idea make sense to you? Right? We want to get that down. Now, we can't say, does the idea make sense to you? Do you understand the idea? Right? Because that's certainty. If the customer's uncertain about a buying decision, and we come across super certain, what are we going to lose? Rapport. So we want to match the customer, right? Match the customer. The customer's uncertain, and we want to be uncertain, right? So I hear what you're saying, Lori. I really do. But do you understand the idea we're talking about today? Does the idea make sense to you? Like, So now we're both on the same level. Yeah, it makes sense to me. Beautiful, boom, right back on the line, right? People will not buy from us if they don't trust us, if we don't match their tones, if we don't look them in the eye, if we don't make sense, if we don't have a logical case, if we're not sharp as a tack, if we're not enthusiastic, if we don't come across as experts. All that training we do on our own means what? Nothing. Because if we're just spewing out random information to handle closes, we're not as successful as we can be. The interesting dynamic with our group is our group possesses an immense amount of innate talent. So I think combining that with some real world structure gives us the opportunity to really climb the highest mountain. Interesting enough, when we get our initial no, so remember, does the idea make sense to you? Do you understand the idea? It's really important at that first reframe that we talk a little bit about ourselves. Really important. So say we're sitting at the desk and for whatever reason the answer was no, and we're talking about the cost of operation, the cost of ownership, or whatever, and I say to the customer, Joe, what would I say to the customer? Do you
understand?
Yeah.
Sorry. Do you understand the idea that we're trying to get across to you here?
Does the idea
make sense?
Stop, and then get into, let me tell you why I got into this business. So imagine sitting in front of a guest. I need you all to visualize this, right? So we're sitting in front of a guest. We're discussing an automobile purchase, pretty big purchase, and we get no. So we reframe and say, I hear you, Jim, but let me ask you a question. Do you understand the idea that we're talking about? Does the idea make sense to you? And Jim's going to say, yeah, right? And if he doesn't, then we've got to go back and re-explain because he hasn't bought into what we're selling. But 90% of the time, the customer's going to say yes. And then we say something like this, Jim, do you mind if I tell you why I got in this business? Because it wasn't by default. Actually, I was recruited, but when I did the investigation into the industry, what I noticed that the number one thing missing in the auto industry today was service. Was providing accurate information to customers and not just selling them a car. So my mandate internally is to be one of the top performers, not at selling cars, but by servicing my guests' needs. And based on those needs, do you understand what I'm trying to get across? That it's just not about your car payment, but about the total outlay of cash monthly. Fair enough? What does the customer say to that? No, I don't get it. What does the customer say to that? What have I done by asking two questions? And the questions were what, Sharon?
Sorry.
Yeah, I would be way more focused on this than I would on that $200 commission. So go ahead. The questions are what?
I'm sorry. I heard what you said. I missed that.
Lou, the question is what? Sharon, go deal with your question.
Let me tell you why I got into it.
Sorry.
It's okay. No, I don't have time. Take your book with you. Yes?
Let me tell you why I got into this.
No, before that.
Oh.
I got two questions. Do you mind if I, Jim, do you mind if I ask you a question?
Does it make sense to you?
Does this idea make sense to you?
Right.
Comma, do you
Understand the idea.
understand the idea, right? So right away I'm phrasing a question where I'm going to elicit what type of response?
Positive.
A positive response. I need a yes, right? Because what did he say to me a minute ago?
No.
No. So then when I say to him, hey, do you mind if I tell you why I got into this business? Am I asking permission?
No.
If I say to you, hey, Joe, do you mind if I tell you how I got in or why I got into this business?
Okay.
And then I go into why I got into this business because one of the things that's missing, listen to my tone, one of the things that's missing is the true sense of customer service. You know what I mean? The true sense of customer service. What am I selling to the customer without him knowing? That he can trust me. That I'm just like him. That I care. Right? So these little reframers are the difference between somebody selling 140 cars last year and 100 cars this year, just by default, right? Or I sell more cars because I spend more time here.
Please, Sean.
That's ridiculous. That's not a game plan that works. I sell more cars because I'm better now than I was 12 months ago. Wouldn't that